For us growing up in the United States, we've all heard the story of Lewis and Clark. Meriwether Lewis and William Clark exploring the West. But famous explorer William Clark would actually name his son Meriwether Lewis Clark. And Meriwether Lewis Clark would also have a son named Meriwether Lewis Clark Jr. Known as Lutie by his friends and family, his mother was known as Abigail Churchill. And upon her death, he would go live with his aunt and her two sons, John and Henry Churchill, on their family property. The Churchills were actually very affluent for the time period, living on 300 acres just south of Louisville, Kentucky. Lutie would develop a taste for the finer things in life, making several trips to Europe and falling in love with the sport of horse racing. Returned from Europe in 1873, Lutie had an idea. He wanted to build a racetrack. He also wanted to form his own jockey club. And in 1874, he would do just that. He would form the Louisville Jockey Club. And with a little smooth talking pushed toward the way of John and Henry Churchill, he acquired some land to build a track. And in 1875, the first race would be held at that track in front of nearly 10,000 spectators. Lutie would go on to write many of the racing rules that we still use today. He worked on a uniform system of weights that are still in use and would pioneer the stakes system, where we actually get the Breeders' Cup. Lutie would also be the first person to really speak out officially against officials and reporters betting on races. He was also known to have kind of a touchy personality. It was not for him to randomly attempt to ban a trainer or an owner from the track at gunpoint sometimes. But unfortunately for Lutie, in 1893 with the stock market crash where he was heavily invested, he lost almost everything, and fearing a life of poverty, traveled from city to city as a steward. He'd commit suicide April 22nd of 1899. I'm not sure what Lutie's last moments were like or what he was thinking, or if he thought maybe his crowning achievement in his life, being the 1.5-mile track that he had built south of Louisville, would still stand all these years later. But it does. Now it's no longer 1.5 miles, it is now 1.25 miles. But it still carries the name that was his mother's maiden name, and the name of the family who would donate the land. And that is Churchill. It is known as Churchill Downs. I figured you guys would enjoy that, especially with the first Saturday of May quickly approaching. I know I've got my party planned, but just a reminder, guys, if you're going to drink, please be safe and have a great Derby weekend.